I never imagined I'd be fighting for breath in my own living room because of an HOA dispute. Yet that's exactly what happened when Karen Westfield, the self-appointed queen of Sunshine Meadows, decided my medical equipment violated her precious neighborhood aesthetic. It all began 3 months ago, when I moved into Sunshine Meadows after my doctor recommended relocating to a single-story home. I have severe COPD that requires supplemental oxygen, especially at night. The house was perfect. No stairs, wide doorways for days when I need my wheelchair, and a lovely patio where I could enjoy fresh air. Before purchasing, I thoroughly reviewed the HOA regulations and confirmed my necessary medical accommodations were protected under the Fair Housing Act. 2 days after moving in, there was a sharp knock at my door. I opened it to find a woman in her mid-50s with an immaculate blonde bob and a clipboard clutched to her chest like a shield. "I'm Karen Westfield, Sunshine Meadows HOA president," she announced, unsmiling, her eyes immediately darting past me to scan my living room. "I'm conducting a routine inspection of new properties. May I come in?" Her tone made it clear this wasn't really a question. Reluctantly, I stepped aside, the tubing of my portable oxygen concentrator trailing behind me. Karen's eyes narrowed at the medical equipment beside my recliner. "What's all this?" she asked with obvious distaste. "Medical equipment," I explained calmly. "I have COPD. This helps me breathe." Karen scribbled on her clipboard. "Well, medical equipment or not, it can't be visible from the street through your front windows. Section 12, Paragraph 4 of our bylaws clearly states that all homes must maintain an appealing aesthetic consistent with our community standards." I took a measured breath through my nasal cannula. Actually, I've reviewed the bylaws. Medical equipment is exempt under both the bylaws and federal law. Karen's lips tightened into a thin line. "I've been running this HOA for 15 years. I think I know our regulations better than someone who moved in last week." She thrust a yellow paper into my hands. "You have 7 days to remedy this violation. After that, it's a $100 fine per day. That was only the beginning. Over the next few weeks, I received violation notices for everything. My garbage can left out 10 minutes past collection, a barely visible oxygen tank in my car's back seat, even the width of my wheelchair ramp, which had been built precisely to ADA specifications. I tried reasoning with her. I sent certified letters citing the relevant legal protections. I even attended an HOA meeting to address the board directly. The other members looked uncomfortable with Karen's obsession over my medical equipment, but none dared contradict her. One board member, Tom Jenkins, approached me privately afterward. "Look, I'm sorry about all this," he whispered. "Karen gets intense about these things. She's been president so long, the rest of us usually just let her handle everything." "This isn't just annoying," I told him, tapping my oxygen tank. "These are violation notices against equipment I need to breathe." "It's discriminatory and illegal," Tom nodded nervously. "I'll try to talk to her, but be careful. The last guy who challenged her found his hedges mysteriously poisoned and ended up moving out." The harassment escalated. Karen began photographing my house daily, documenting what she called ongoing violations. I once caught her peering through my windows while I was reading in my living room. When I opened the door to confront her, she simply said, "Community inspection," before strutting back to her house 3 doors down. I installed security cameras the next day. No rule against that, not even in Karen's precious HOA rulebook. But the real trouble came last Tuesday. I was having a particularly difficult breathing day and had settled into my recliner with my oxygen turned up. The doorbell rang just as I was dozing off. Through the security app on my phone, I saw Karen standing there, clipboard in hand, that familiar look of determination etched on her face. I ignored her. After 3 months of harassment, I was finished engaging. She could leave another notice in my mailbox. My lawyer already had a file full of them. 10 minutes later, I heard a loud noise from my side yard where the external unit of my home oxygen system was installed. Suddenly, the alarm on my portable unit blared as the pressure dropped. I fumbled for my emergency backup tank, but before I could connect it, my front door burst open. Karen stood there, a ring of keys in her hand. "As HOA president, I have access keys for emergencies," she declared triumphantly. and your continued violations constitute an emergency to our community standards. I could barely speak as I struggled with the tank. What did you do? I managed between labored breaths. I disconnected that eyesore outside, she said with smug satisfaction. Section 15 clearly states that no external mechanical equipment can be installed without board approval. You never submitted the proper forms. My security camera caught everything. Her walking up to my oxygen unit, deliberately twisting the valves to the off position, then slipping a removed component into her pocket, all while muttering to herself about teaching me a lesson on following the rules. I scrambled to connect my backup tank before calling 911. I need police and an ambulance. I gasped to the dispatcher. A woman broke into my home, disabled medical equipment. I can't breathe well. Karen's smug expression shifted to one of unease as she overheard me reporting her actions. Don't be so dramatic, she snapped. I was enforcing community guidelines. Besides, you're fine now. Within minutes, police and paramedics arrived. The EMTs went straight to work, checking my oxygen levels and vitals as I described what happened and showed the footage on my phone. One officer's face grew darker as he reviewed the video. Karen stood in my living room, arms folded. This is HOA business, she insisted to the second officer. He agreed to the covenants when he bought this property. I was simply enforcing them. Ma'am, the officer replied, his voice measured. You entered his home without permission, tampered with life-sustaining medical equipment, and removed components. That's breaking and entering, criminal negligence, and possibly attempted manslaughter. Her face drained of color. But I have access keys as HOA president for emergencies. A perceived violation of community aesthetics is not an emergency, the officer shot back, producing his handcuffs. Turn around and place your hands behind your back. Karen was still ranting about bylaws and property values as they led her away in cuffs. Neighbors had gathered outside, watching in stunned silence as their once untouchable HOA president was placed into a squad car. 2 days later, after my release from the hospital where I'd been kept for observation, I received a certified letter from the HOA board. They had convened an emergency meeting and voted unanimously to remove Karen as president, effective immediately. All fines against me were waived and my medical accommodations were permanently approved. This morning, the district attorney called. Karen now faces multiple felony charges: breaking and entering, tampering with medical equipment, theft of medical components, and reckless endangerment. Her real estate license has been suspended pending investigation, effectively ending her career. She faces prison time and damages likely to force her to sell her prized home in Sunshine Meadows. Later, I saw her escorted by her attorney to collect belongings from the HOA clubhouse. When her eyes met mine, me standing on my porch with my oxygen tank visible, her face twisted with rage and disbelief. For once, Karen had nothing to say.